Your Royal Highness, can I just ask, do you support Prince Andrew?
So I can't hear you.
Do you support Prince Andrew? Have you spoken to him recently? Have you spoken to him recently?
Yesterday, we saw a reporter ask Prince William a curly question about Prince Andrew.
Before we begin, I need you to know something. What I'm about to tell you happened just minutes ago, and it's already sending shockwaves around the world. This isn't speculation. This isn't rumor. This is the moment the British royal family finally did what many thought they'd never have the courage to do. They made a decision that will echo through history books for generations. A decision that forces us to ask uncomfortable questions about power, family, and what happens when the two collide in the most public way imaginable. Right now, as you're watching this, Prince William is walking away from the cameras at Buckingham Palace. His statement has been delivered. The words have been spoken, and there's no taking them back. What he just announced will change the monarchy forever. Because 5 minutes ago, standing beneath the royal crest with the weight of 1,000 years of tradition on his shoulders, William confirmed the truth that everyone had been whispering about, but nobody wanted to say out loud. Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, the Queen's second son, the prince who once flew combat missions and walked alongside kings, is done. His royal life is over. Not paused, not postponed. Finished.
Let's bring you some breaking news that has come to us in the last minute or so from Buckingham Palace. His Majesty the King has today initiated a formal process to remove the style, titles and honours of Prince Andrew.
The announcement that changed everything. The announcement lasted just 2 minutes, 120 seconds, but every single word carried the weight of centuries of royal tradition crashing against modern accountability. William spoke carefully, choosing each word with precision. He said his uncle would live privately now, away from the public eye, with the family's full support. It sounded compassionate. It sounded dignified. But make no mistake, this was the end of Andrew's time as a working royal, the final chapter of a story that had dragged on far too long. The announcement was short, just 2 minutes, but every single word felt heavy. William spoke carefully. He said his uncle would live privately now, away from the public eye, with the family's full support. It was the end of Andrew's time as a working royal, the end of a story that had gone on for far too long. Think about that for a second. A prince. A man born into one of the most powerful families on earth.
Joyful news from Buckingham Palace. The birth of His Royal Highness the Baby Prince. Honouring the first child born to a British reigning sovereign for over 100 years.
A decorated military veteran who once flew helicopters in combat. Now being told, in the most polite way possible, that his services are no longer required, that the institution he was born to serve no longer wants him in the spotlight. It's not exile exactly. It's something more subtle, more final. It's erasure dressed up in courtesy. Outside the palace, reporters stood frozen. The courtyard was eerily quiet. No tourists shuffling around, no noise at all. Inside, palace staff moved quickly but silently. They knew they were watching history unfold. They were seeing the final chapter of one of the most controversial stories the royal family had ever faced. Meanwhile, at Royal Lodge in Windsor, Andrew watched the broadcast alone. The house that used to be full of parties and guests now felt empty and dark. The only sound was the television echoing through the rooms. When William said the words about private life, someone who was there later said Andrew just lowered his head. He didn't say anything at all. This wasn't a punishment exactly. It was something else. Mercy mixed with finality. The royal family had drawn a line, and this time it was William enforcing it. Not the Queen, not Charles. William. The future of the monarchy, making the hard choice. People across Britain reacted fast. Some felt sad, some felt shocked. Many felt relieved, even though it was uncomfortable, because underneath all the formal words was a painful truth. The prince who once flew combat jets and was celebrated as a war hero had become a warning story, a reminder that the royal family doesn't forget mistakes. Stay with me, because what led to this moment is even more fascinating than the announcement itself. The secret meetings that happened in locked rooms, the letters exchanged between family members, the king's quiet approval given with a heavy heart, all of it tells us more than any public statement ever could. This isn't just about one prince falling from grace. This is about what happens when an ancient institution tries to survive in the modern world, when duty collides with family, when protecting the crown means cutting off one of your own. The quiet months before the storm. To understand how we got here, we need to go back a few months, back to the quiet period before October 2025. From the outside, everything at Buckingham Palace looked normal. Ceremonies, events, business as usual. But inside those golden walls, something else was happening. Whispers, plans, careful decisions being made behind closed doors. Prince Andrew had been living quietly at Royal Lodge for a while now. The big house sits inside Windsor Great Park. It used to host fancy parties with hundreds of guests. Now it was just Andrew, a smaller staff, and not much else. Security had been reduced. He rarely went to London anymore. When he did, it was only for family matters. A quiet dinner with his daughters Beatrice and Eugenie. Maybe a visit to see King Charles at Clarence House. His world had become very small. It wasn't always like this. 20 years ago, Andrew was different. He was the golden son, the Navy pilot who served in the Falklands War, the charming prince who brought energy to the royal family. People liked him, but time changed things. Mistakes piled up. His reputation crumbled. After that disastrous Newsnight interview in 2019 and losing his military titles in 2022, he became invisible.
Prince Andrew has been stripped of all his military titles and charities as he faces a lawsuit connected to convicted Jeffrey Epstein.
Still part of the family by blood, but absent from public view. Even so, Andrew hadn't given up hope. By 2024, he started quietly asking if he could come back to royal duties. Nothing big, just small things. He wanted to attend veterans events, represent the crown in minor ways. He told people close to him that he just wanted to be useful again. But that hope ran straight into a new reality. King Charles was trying to rebuild trust in the monarchy, and Prince William's generation had zero interest in giving second chances that could bring back old problems. Behind the scenes, senior advisors were having serious talks about Andrew's future. These conversations weren't mean or cruel. They were just practical. Brutally practical. One advisor said it plainly during a late meeting. The monarchy can't afford uncertainty. Every time Andrew appears in public, it risks opening old wounds again. Princess Anne, who's known for speaking her mind, reportedly agreed. She said they couldn't keep patching cracks that wouldn't seal. Even Charles, torn between loving his brother and doing his duty as king, started to pull away. His health wasn't great. He needed to focus on keeping things stable while preparing William to lead. Charles loved Andrew, but he also understood what it would cost to be too forgiving. A close aide remembered the king saying something important. Forgiveness is personal, but representation is constitutional. That difference would shape everything that followed. Meanwhile, William's position was changing. He used to be the bridge between old traditions and new ideas. Now he was becoming the enforcer. He believed the public's trust had to be earned, not just inherited. Every royal mistake threatened to undo the credibility he and Catherine had worked years to build. Over the summer of 2025, William started having private meetings with senior palace advisors. They called them continuity discussions, but everyone knew what they were really about. They were planning Andrew's permanent exit. William didn't enjoy this task, but he was determined. The younger royals, William, Catherine, Anne's children, all believed the same thing. The monarchy needed to be clean, not just look clean, actually be clean. As autumn got closer, things started to shift at court. Invitations changed. Andrew's name quietly disappeared from ceremony lists. His photo was left out of certain palace communications. Small signs, but clear ones. By late September, a formal letter was written. It was respectful and short. It thanked Andrew for his service and his years of loyalty. But it also made clear that his retirement from royal life would now be permanent. The letter just needed one signature: the king's. Charles hesitated, maybe for days, maybe for weeks, but in the end, duty won. He signed the paper at Clarence House, right beneath a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. Once the ink dried, there was no going back. That signature set everything else in motion. It paved the way for William's announcement, and for the most emotional moment the royal family had faced since the Queen died.
A few moments ago, Buckingham Palace announced the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
This wasn't just about removing a title or clarifying a role. It was about ending an entire era, an era that started with honor, stumbled into disgrace, and would now close in silence. The machinery of the monarchy was moving forward, whether Andrew was ready or not. The final decision. The first real signs that something was happening didn't come from headlines. They came from small changes inside palace life, the kind of things only people who pay close attention would notice. In early September, invitations went out for the Autumn Remembrance Banquet. Normally, Andrew's name would appear quietly on the guest list. This year, it wasn't there. At first, nobody questioned it. Maybe it was a mistake, maybe a scheduling issue. But within days, it became obvious. The Duke of York was no longer being included in even private family events. At Royal Lodge, Andrew's longtime secretary noticed something else. The regular deliveries of official documents from the palace had stopped. No more folders stamped with palace correspondence. The silence was louder than any scolding. Andrew asked about it, of course, but the answers he got were vague and polite. They told him the king's office was streamlining communications. But everyone knew what that really meant. He was being cut off. Behind the scenes, confidential meetings were happening at St. James's Palace. Prince William led several of them himself, along with Princess Anne and the Lord Chamberlain. The tone was professional, almost cold. They agreed the monarchy couldn't keep living with uncertainty around Andrew's status. William reportedly said it clearly: this isn't about punishment, it's about closure. The most telling moment came when an advisor pulled out a document with a long title about private role adjustment for the Duke of York. The draft explained what everyone already knew. Andrew's presence at royal functions would end permanently. The only question left was how to announce it without being cruel. Meanwhile, Andrew had no idea how far these plans had gone. Friends who visited Royal Lodge that month said he seemed restless, but oddly hopeful. One person even saw a folder on his desk labeled Public Rehabilitation Plan. It had notes about charity projects, a quiet proposal to serve through good works. In another time, maybe it would have worked. But this was a different monarchy now, one that measured success through honesty, not nostalgia. William struggled with what he was doing. People close to him said he wrestled privately with the tension between justice and compassion. He respected his uncle's service record. He even felt sorry for how isolated Andrew had become. But he also understood that every institution reaches a point where feelings must give way to survival. He told one aide that the crown can forgive privately, but it must protect itself publicly. In late September, William went to Clarence House to brief his father. The meeting lasted less than half an hour. Charles listened, nodded often, and signed the necessary papers without saying much. Only as William was leaving did Charles speak softly. "Handle it with dignity, son. That's all I ask." A few days later, Andrew received a hand-delivered letter. The envelope was heavy with the royal seal. The message inside was short, just 5 sentences confirming that his retirement from public life would be made official soon, with respect and discretion. He read it twice, folded it neatly, and put it on his desk next to a framed photo of his daughters. For the first time in years, he didn't call anyone. He didn't get angry or beg. People who saw him that week described a quiet man walking the grounds at dusk, hands behind his back, staring toward Windsor Castle. Inside the palace, the machinery kept moving. William finalized the public statement. Catherine coordinated visual preparations. Communication staff rehearsed delivery under strict secrecy. The process was precise, almost surgical. The family's pain would never make it into the broadcast. And yet across the country, the air felt different. Newspapers started guessing about an upcoming royal decision. Social media buzzed with questions. Was Andrew sick? Was he coming back? Was he being exiled for good? The mystery fed curiosity, and curiosity fed attention, exactly what the crown wanted to avoid. But the most striking part wasn't the palace strategy or the public curiosity. It was the sense that this was always going to happen. Every royal family, no matter how old or powerful, eventually has to face itself. For the Windsors, that moment had arrived. The broadcast and the aftermath. At exactly 9 a.m. on October 8, 2025, the doors of Buckingham Palace opened to a crowd of cameras. The morning air was cold and thick, the kind of London weather where you can see your breath. Reporters stood packed together, whispering, waiting for a statement everyone knew would be historic. Inside the East Gallery, Prince William stood alone behind a wooden lectern. The royal crest gleamed under the lights. Staff footsteps faded as they left him alone. For a moment, he closed his eyes and took a deep breath. This wasn't just an announcement. It was a reckoning. When he spoke, his voice was calm but carried weight. He said that after talking with the king, and with full respect for Andrew's years of service, it had been decided that the Duke would permanently retire from all public life. His future would remain private, with the family's full support and compassion. He paused. The silence was complete. Then he continued. This decision wasn't made lightly. It reflects the family's commitment to accountability, dignity, and values that have always guided the crown, even through painful moments. That was it. Barely 2 minutes, but it rang out like a final bell. William stepped back, nodded once to the cameras, and left. The doors closed quietly behind him. Outside, chaos erupted. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. Within minutes, headlines spread across the world. Prince William ends Andrew's royal life forever. Buckingham draws line under decades of controversy. Across London, televisions flickered in cafes and homes. Some people cried quietly. Others nodded grimly. For older Britons, it felt like the monarchy cleaning an old wound. For younger people, it was proof that even princes face consequences. At Royal Lodge, Andrew sat before a muted television, hands resting on the armrests. He watched his nephew's speech without moving. When the words "permanently retire from public life" came, he exhaled slowly and whispered, "So that's it." An aide standing nearby asked if he wanted to call anyone. "No," Andrew said softly. "There's no one left to call." He stood, walked to the window, and looked out over the grounds. Rain had started falling, tracing lines down the glass. Beyond the trees, Windsor Castle loomed in the mist, a symbol of everything he once belonged to and no longer did. At Clarence House, King Charles watched the announcement alone in his study. He saw William's face, steady and serious. The king closed his eyes for a moment, then told his valet, "He did it better than I could have." The valet, who had served the family for 40 years, nodded silently. By the next day, the decision had become the world's conversation. Every major outlet carried the story. What had been whispered for months was now public and final. Inside Buckingham, staff moved carefully, speaking quietly. The monarchy was moving forward, but no one pretended it didn't hurt. Public reaction was mixed, but mostly accepting. Polls showed 69% of Britons supported the decision, calling it necessary. Still, many felt pity. Online, People wrote reflective comments, not anger, just sadness. He made his mistakes, one person wrote, but he's still a son, a brother, a father. That's what makes it so sad. William and Catherine went to a hospital visit that same afternoon. Cameras caught them smiling gently, their composure steady. Classic royal style, moving forward even as hearts break behind the scenes. But people who saw William up close said his eyes looked tired. The duty was done, but the cost showed in the quiet between his words. That evening, a small envelope arrived from Windsor to Buckingham. No seal, just handwriting. Andrews. The note had one line: "Tell him I wish him peace, and that he did what he thought was right." William received it in silence. He folded it once and put it in his briefcase, saying nothing to anyone. By nightfall, the palace stood calm again. Outside the gates, London's lamps flickered on, casting golden light against the iron railings. The storm had passed, but the echo lingered. And as the world adjusted to a monarchy lighter by one name, one truth became clear. Forgiveness might heal wounds, but history never forgets them. So here's what I want to know. What do you think about all this? Was William right to make this call, or did the family go too far? Drop your answer in the comments below. And hey, if you found this story as gripping as I did, do me a favor. Hit that like button. It really helps us bring you more royal stories like this one. Share this video with anyone who's been following the royal family drama. Trust me, they'll want to see this. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the next chapter in this unfolding royal saga. On her life, William, protective as ever, stepped into the fray, using public statements to advocate for privacy, kindness, and mental health awareness. Yet, the damage inflicted by social media could not be fully reversed. The couple's focus shifted to shielding their three young children, George, Charlotte, and Louis, from the chaos surrounding their family. Schools were carefully chosen, public appearances carefully limited, and every decision weighed against the backdrop of global scrutiny. Experts in psychology warn that high-profile bullying legitimizes hate, turning personal stories into public weapons. Catherine's experience became a case study in this phenomenon, highlighting the precarious balance between privilege and vulnerability. This chapter illustrates the invisible scars left by fame, the weight of global judgment, and the resilience required to withstand relentless public attention. For William and Catherine, it became clear that protecting family, mental health, and dignity required firm boundaries and unwavering resolve. Years had passed since the explosive 2021 interview, but the shadows it cast lingered. Then whispers emerged. Oprah Winfrey, the queen of tell-all interviews, was reportedly reaching out to Princess Catherine with an olive branch. A chance for Catherine to set the record straight, to share her side of the story, and perhaps heal old wounds. The offer sounded tempting on the surface, yet for William and Catherine it raised deeper questions about timing, motives, and the lingering pain from past betrayals. The royal couple had endured years of scrutiny, cyberbullying, and distorted narratives. Could a single interview undo the scars left by unverified claims? For Catherine, it wasn't simply about public perception. It was about her family's safety, privacy, and emotional well-being. Social media buzzed with speculation as fans and critics debated whether Catherine should seize the opportunity or maintain silence. The stakes were high, and the world watched with bated breath. Insiders hinted at Oprah's reasoning. Perhaps it was reflection, a recognition of the interview's unintended consequences. Or maybe it was a strategic move, capitalizing on the continuing fascination with royal life. Either way, the offer arrived quietly, through discreet channels, carefully avoiding direct palace involvement. Still, the news spread rapidly, sparking both hope and apprehension among royal watchers. This chapter captures the tension between opportunity and caution, the allure of public vindication versus the importance of privacy. For William, the decision was clear: protect Catherine at all costs. The upcoming response would not just be a rejection, it would define the couple's approach to media, loyalty, and trust, setting the tone for the future of royal engagement in a world hungry for drama. The palace halls rarely tremble from words alone, but this time the message was seismic. Prince William, protective and unyielding, stepped in decisively. Oprah's invitation for an exclusive sit-down with Princess Catherine wasn't met with consideration. It was met with a firm, unwavering refusal. Sources close to Kensington Palace revealed that William personally shut down the offer, sending a message that cut through years of frustration, betrayal, and cyberbullying. "It's too late to apologize now that Meghan Markle's claims have been exposed," the statement reportedly read. "My wife will not do any interviews or revisit this chapter." These words weren't just a polite decline, they were a declaration, a shield built around his family. William's stand echoed his earlier defense in 2021 when he publicly stated, "We are very much not a racist family," countering the most damaging claims of the original interview. For William, the rejection carried layers of purpose. It was a protection for Catherine, who had already endured years of public judgment, relentless cyber attacks, and deeply personal rumors. It was a rebuke to media opportunism and a boundary-setting statement for the monarchy's future. By calling the previous interview deceitful, he echoed the doubts held by many supporters, emphasizing the importance of truth over sensationalism. This chapter exposes the raw human element behind royal decisions: love, loyalty, and the instinct to defend one's family. It illustrates that even in a world of privilege, vulnerability remains. For William and Catherine, this was more than a rejection of an interview. It was a defining moment that showcased the strength, resilience, and strategic power of a couple unwilling to let the past dictate their present. The rejection of Oprah's offer wasn't just about a single interview. It was about decades of scrutiny and the ever-present threat of cyberbullying. Princess Catherine had become a prime target for online vitriol, a consequence of distorted narratives and social media amplification. Every comparison with Meghan Markle, every rumor about her family life, and every question about her health was magnified across platforms, leaving emotional scars that no royal title could shield. For Catherine, the constant online attacks were relentless. Harsh hashtags, speculative commentary, and invasive debates about her appearance and parenting turned personal pain into public spectacle. Experts in psychology emphasize how high-profile individuals can become collateral in narratives fueled by misinformation. Catherine's experience was a stark example. Immense privilege paired with profound vulnerability. Even her rare appearances and public engagements were dissected and debated, intensifying the pressure on both her and William. Prince William's protective instincts became paramount. Beyond public statements advocating privacy and kindness, he focused on shielding their children George, Charlotte, and Louis from the constant media storm. Every decision about schooling, public appearances, and social engagements was weighed carefully against the backdrop of a digital world that thrived on scandal. This chapter underlines the human cost of fame in the digital age. It's not merely about headlines, it's about emotional resilience, family stability, and the courage to face a world where words can wound as sharply as actions. For William and Catherine, standing firm against media exploitation became a necessary act of survival, proving that even royals must navigate the fine line between public duty and private protection. The human toll behind royal silence. Behind the grandeur of palaces and ceremonial duties lies a reality seldom seen: the emotional toll on those living under constant scrutiny. Princess Catherine's silence has never been passive. It has been a shield, a deliberate choice to protect herself and her family. While the public saw poise and composure, the private battles told a different story. The relentless cyberbullying following the 2021 interview, compounded by lingering misinformation, left deep emotional marks. Catherine's struggle highlights the fragile intersection of privilege and vulnerability. Royal life comes with immense responsibility, but also intense exposure. Every headline, every social media post, and every rumor had the potential to penetrate the walls of the palace, challenging her sense of security. During her health battles, particularly her cancer diagnosis in 2024,
I wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you personally for all the wonderful messages of support and for your understanding whilst I've been recovering from surgery.
the world's gaze intensified, with conspiracy theories and intrusive speculation flooding online platforms. The narrative became not just about Catherine, but about the stability of her entire family. For Prince William, these were not abstract threats. They were real, pressing dangers to his wife and children. His protective stance, whether in public statements or private actions, underscored a broader commitment to mental health advocacy and online safety. Programs like Heads Together, which he championed, reflect his understanding that emotional harm can be as damaging as any public scandal. This chapter emphasizes that the stakes go far beyond headlines. Every action, every refusal, every moment of silence is a deliberate decision to preserve dignity, safeguard family, and counteract the harmful effects of a world eager for sensationalism. For William and Catherine, resilience is more than a virtue. It is a necessity in a life perpetually under the microscope. Rumors began swirling that even Oprah Winfrey, the queen of tell-all interviews, had started to rethink the 2021 sit-down with Harry and Meghan. Sources in Hollywood suggest she reflected on the interview's impact, particularly as new details and counter-narratives surfaced. Videos and online discussions hinted that Oprah may have privately admitted to being misled, raising questions about the accuracy of the stories she helped amplify. While mainstream outlets have not confirmed a full public apology, whispers indicate a shift in her perspective. Some speculate this reconsideration was influenced by backlash, others by her own evolving sense of responsibility in the media. Oprah's history of acknowledging past missteps, such as her 2024 apology for contributing to unrealistic diet culture standards, adds credibility to these claims. Insiders believe she realized the interview, while groundbreaking, unintentionally magnified, unverified claims, putting Catherine in the crossfire of global scrutiny. The speculation reignited online debates. Could this be an olive branch? A chance for Catherine to share her side? For royal watchers, it was a tantalizing possibility. Yet, for William and Catherine, the question was far more complicated. The damage had been done. The cyberbullying, public judgment, and family strain could not simply be erased by one interview. Every decision now involves weighing public interest against private well-being. This chapter reveals the tension between media accountability and personal boundaries. Oprah's reconsideration, whether motivated by regret or strategy, collides with the royal commitment to privacy. The stage is set for a confrontation that tests loyalty, family protection, and the enduring consequences of words spoken on the global stage. Reports emerge that Oprah reached out to Princess Catherine with an offer for an exclusive interview, a chance to share her story, address lingering speculation, and perhaps heal some divides. Framed as a platform of empowerment, it could have been a media sensation. The public imagined the future queen speaking candidly about resilience, family, and the truths behind decades of headlines. Ratings potential was enormous, and curiosity about Catherine's side of the story was at an all-time high. Yet, the timing raised questions. Why now, 4 years after the Harry and Meghan interview? Some speculated it was Oprah's way of balancing past narratives, while others suspected a strategic business move to capitalize on ongoing royal intrigue. Whatever the motivation, the offer arrived discreetly, intended to bypass direct palace channels. But news of it inevitably leaked, igniting widespread speculation online. Fans debated whether Catherine would accept, imagining a groundbreaking revelation, while critics warned of reopening old wounds. The decision, however, was far from Catherine's alone. Prince William's influence, grounded in protective instinct and a commitment to family stability, played a decisive role. Privacy had become their mantra, especially after years of public scrutiny and relentless cyberbullying. Accepting Oprah's offer would have risked reigniting painful controversies and undermining the family's hard-won peace. This chapter underscores the delicate balance between public curiosity and personal protection. Even the most compelling media opportunity can be rejected when the stakes involve emotional safety, family integrity, and the broader implications for a monarchy navigating modern scrutiny. Catherine's silence was not submission. It was a calculated, powerful stand for herself and those she loves. The moment that shocked royal observers arrived when Prince William stepped in decisively. Sources close to Kensington Palace reveal that he personally shut down Oprah's interview offer with a message both firm and unequivocal. "It's too late to apologize when you realize Meghan Markle lied. My wife doesn't want to do any interviews or mention you." His words carried the weight of years of pent-up frustration, standing as a protective shield around Catherine and their family. This wasn't merely a polite refusal, it was a verbal declaration, echoing the intensity of William's 2021 public defense outside a school, when he asserted, "We are very much not a racist family." By labeling the 2021 sit-down deceitful, William drew a clear line, reaffirming loyalty and defending his wife against lingering online harassment and misleading narratives. The message resonated not only within the palace walls, but across the global audience, highlighting the depth of hurt caused by misinformation and the unrelenting spotlight of public life. For Catherine, the impact was profound. After years of enduring cyberbullying, including during her health struggles, William's stance offered both protection and validation. Insiders note that the rejection was strategic, aimed at sending a message to media figures that the royal family would no longer tolerate sensationalism that risks emotional harm. Every word reinforced the idea that privacy, trust, and family integrity outweighed media spectacle. This chapter emphasizes a pivotal theme: boundaries matter. William's decision demonstrates that even the most powerful media opportunities cannot override the importance of safeguarding loved ones. His unwavering stand is a testament to loyalty, resilience, and the complex responsibilities of modern royalty, showing the world that some lines are simply not to be crossed. A royal stand for truth and privacy. Prince William's refusal of Oprah's interview offer was more than a personal choice. It marked a defining moment for the modern monarchy. By drawing a firm line, he made it clear that truth, privacy, and family protection come before media spectacle. After years of fallout from the 2021 Harry and Meghan interview, William and Catherine stood united, shielding their children and preserving the dignity of the royal household. Catherine's silence speaks volumes. Focused on her children, her causes, and her recovery, she shows that strength is not always loud. The rejection highlights how unchecked narratives can have real-life consequences, leaving emotional scars that time alone cannot heal. This decision signals a new era for the monarchy, reclaiming narrative control and prioritizing authenticity over drama. William and Catherine's stand reminds the world that protecting family and truth can outweigh fame and opportunity. If you found this insight into royal loyalty compelling, like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on this ongoing saga.